Can You Improve Your IQ by Professor Nigel MacLennan. Is your intelligence fixed or fluid? If fluid, what can change it? Can your intelligence be deliberately changed or improved? If so, how? What does that mean for your well-being? The exploration of human intelligence has been ongoing for millennia. It seems every ancient culture has its own casual musings and deeper reflections on the basis of intelligence. Western culture has some records from the ancient Greek philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle. To the best of our knowledge, history is an inaccurate and usually self-validating art. Plato thought that intelligence was innate and that people were born with fixed levels of it. Aristotle took a more experientialist view in the sense that intelligence was developed by experience and learning. If we forward wind to after the Enlightenment, when scientific inquiry displaced theocratic explanations in the 19th century, what thinking about intelligence do we find? Francis Galton was one of the first to systematically investigate intelligence. Given that he was Charles Darwin's cousin, it will come as no surprise that he posited intelligence to be hereditary, and therefore that it could be measured through various forms or tests. Such fallacious reasoning still plagues science today. Just because something can be measured does not mean that it has the theorized cause. Fallacious or not, Galton's reasoning created a science fad starting in the early 20th century, with Alfred Binet's attempts to measure intelligence using statistically based methods. Binet sought to identify the mental age of children with what we would now describe as special educational needs. Those early stumbling attempts were built on by Lewis Terman at Stanford University, resulting in the Stanford-Binet intelligence scale, which remains in use today. That led to the popularization of the notion of intelligence quotient, or IQ. An IQ score seeks to give a numerical measure of a person's intelligence relative to people of the same age. The concept was flawed from the start. Take a group of children in the first year of school. They are nominally of the same age, yet actually their ages range from 5 to 6 years, depending on the date they were born to qualify for that school or academic year. There is a 20% difference in age between a 5 and a 6-year-old, and the natural intellectual growth in that 1 year is vast, as any parent will confirm. Any test that has such a huge inbuilt error rate is hardly worthy of the name test. Despite such flaws, IQ tests quickly gained popularity and were used to assess intelligence in various fields of life, including education, the military, and employment. During the 20th century, a multitude of theories of intelligence were confected. Charles Spearman's proposed two-factor theory, which suggested that intelligence consists of two factors: a general factor that underlies all mental abilities, and specific factors that are present in specific abilities. Lewis Thurston presented the multiple factor theory, in which he suggested that intelligence is composed of multiple primary mental abilities, such as verbal comprehension, numerical ability, and spatial reasoning. Howard Gardner went further with his theory of multiple intelligences, positing that there are multiple intelligences: linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Robert Sternberg suggested in his triarchic theory of intelligence that there were three types of intelligence: analytical, creative, and practical. In recent decades, the study of intelligence has continued, and based on the study of inter- and intrapersonal social skills, another potential component of intelligence has emerged, so-called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a person's ability to understand and manage their own emotions, and understand and anticipate the emotions of others. The extent to which a person has learned to manage their own emotions can and does have an impact on how well they can solve problems in many aspects of life. There can be little doubt that the skills of emotional management can be learned and refined, and thus give a person a higher ability to manage themselves while problem solving. That can and does give the appearance of greater intelligence. Can we nurture our brain power and that of others? Children who grow up in an environment of emotional self-mastery and emotional self-regulation are much more likely to learn the other problem-solving skills that are seen as intelligence. It seems that the fixed view of intelligence, which has plagued education for so long, has reached its sell-by date. Anyone whose brain is not damaged or impaired in some way can learn new problem-solving skills and can thus acquire higher levels of what is described as intelligence. If IQ were fixed, it would not benefit from the practice effect. In fact, what we see is that a person's IQ is hugely impacted by a person learning the techniques used to solve problems and then practicing solving that particular type of problem. It seems then that intelligence is not fixed, but fluid. It may be highly fluid. For instance, as our energy levels change, as our fatigue level comes and goes with the cycles of the day, so too does our ability to solve problems. You will know that to be true if you have ever found yourself unable to solve a problem and decided to readdress it after a good night's sleep. Then, when you went back to the problem the next day, you solved it in minutes or even seconds. Our intelligence level is highly fluid. Intelligence is far from being the fixed, immutable ability that early thinkers asserted it was. If intelligence were fluid, if it were shaped by factors such as culture, state, emotional control, lifestyle, education, beliefs, motivations, practice, stimulation level, and many others, we would expect to see that it could be quickly changed. Do we actually observe that? Yes, in many ways. For instance, when people can imagine themselves being a great problem solver, when they put themselves into that state, they can and do solve problems faster and more completely. The same applies with hypnosis. People who can benefit from hypnosis can dramatically respond to the suggestion that they are better able to solve IQ type questions and accordingly see their scores massively improved from normal to so-called genius level. If intelligence were fixed, that would simply not be possible. The same is the case in mental puzzles such as chess. When people learn how to solve chess problems, their apparent chess IQ goes up. The more chess problems they learn how to solve, the higher their apparent chess IQ. It seems then that intelligence has multiple components, each of which is based on knowledge, techniques, and learnable skills. You may know someone to whom this case history applies. They appeared incapable of mastering a particular subject or skill. They were written off at school, yet later in life they became supremely skilled in that problem-solving area. If intelligence were fixed, that would simply not be possible. Let's expand on some of the factors that create the appearance of intelligence. Wealth. When children grow up with a healthy, balanced diet, warmth and shelter, and mental stimulation, they exhibit a higher level of apparent intelligence. When children whose intellectual development is impaired by poverty are provided with the same environment as their more advantaged peers, they too blossom. Motivation. If a person is motivated to learn how to solve IQ type puzzles, they are, of course, going to put more time into doing so and thus learn the techniques that give them an advantage over those who are not motivated in that direction. Beliefs. If a person believes that they can learn to solve IQ type puzzles, They are more likely to do so than people who either don't believe it is worthwhile doing so or don't believe that they can do so. Educational values. A person who has grown up in a household where intelligence was valued and rewarded is much more likely to learn the techniques that are measured by IQ tests. Culture. There are regions and subcultures in almost every society that are anti-science, anti-education, and anti-intellectual. If a person grows up in such a culture, they are highly unlikely to take the time to learn to solve IQ puzzles. Sleep. When people are sleep deprived, their apparent intelligence level drops dramatically. As soon as they once again obtain sufficient sleep, their intelligence levels increase. The above are just some of the factors that can determine a person's apparent intelligence, and as you can see, all of them are fluid. Change the wealth, change the motivation, change the beliefs, change the educational values, change the culture, change the amount of sleep, to list only 6 of dozens of factors, and you change the apparent intelligence level of a person. While both types of intelligence are influenced by genetics, research suggests that fluid intelligence, in particular, is more susceptible to environmental factors and can be significantly influenced by our experiences and our lifestyle choices. Can we deliberately change our intelligence? Most definitely. Assuming no brain damage, the decisively good news is that we can take proactive steps to boost our apparent intelligence. Here are some approaches that have been shown to be effective. Lifelong learning of new concepts, skills, and techniques develops our brains and enables us to solve a wide variety of different kinds of problems more and more quickly. Regular exercise and physical activity enhance blood flow and provides more oxygen to the brain, bathes our brain in growth hormone, endorphins, and many other beneficial natural chemicals, each of which in various ways enhance our brain power. A healthy, balanced diet provides our brains with all the vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients that our brains need to operate at their highest possible level. Sufficient sleep, as we said before, is essential for cognitive restoration and consolidation of new memories. Stress reduction. Chronic stress can impair cognitive functioning and deplete our ability to learn and to solve problems. Learning and implementing stress management techniques can remove that impediment to our intelligence. Our brains are highly plastic in that they can change to suit whatever we demand of them. If we focus ourselves on improving our intelligence in any area, we can. If intelligence is enhanced by the factors we have covered, focus, motivation, opportunity, and environment, etc., which enable us to learn and practice problem-solving techniques in any given context, then it seems we can enhance our IQs, our ability to solve problems. Does that equally apply to well-being? Are some people better at solving well-being problems than others? The answer is, of course, a resounding yes. Some people appear to have a very high well-being IQ. They problem-solve ways to maintain and even enhance their well-being throughout their lives. Other people don't solve the problems of managing their well-being, and their health deteriorates gradually over time. What does that mean for your well-being? The more well-being problem-solving techniques you know and actually apply, the higher your well-being IQ and the better your well-being overall.